on YouTube, which I have never done before. I'm going to kind of like figure out all of this stuff together. And let me make sure. Okay, was trying to make sure that you can even hear me. On the YouTube, I had to make sure that was all connected. Because sometimes, yeah, I'm just like, I'm that person, okay? Let's just leave it at that. I'm that person. Sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen. Me and technology and a couple of different things. So I don't know, why are you showing here? Because I'm not live streaming there. We are live streaming here. All right. All right, I'm just going to leave that alone. I already went someplace else when it comes to Facebook. And I hope everyone is doing good. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday. And of course, if it's Wednesday and you're tuning in, then that tells you a couple of things. That means it's time for the latest podcast. That means it is time for some wisdom as well. So we are just going to get going and we are going to let that be that. All right, we are now good to go. Live streaming, finally got all the podcasts and everything going. Listen, everybody, it is Wednesday, okay? To all of my transformers, as I always say, we are all transforming. We are all becoming better women and doing different things, all right? It's time for some Wisdom Wednesday. If you do not know, it is me, Coach V, and welcome to the Freedom Reigns podcast, okay? And I say freedom reigns. Why? Because it's all about helping Christian women when it comes to being free from religion in order to tend to the past, successfully date so that they can win at kingdom love. And of course, if I say kingdom love, I'm talking about God's love. I'm talking about self-love, and I'm talking about real love, combining all of those things together. And again, new love strategist, just realizing that some people struggle when it comes to real love, when it comes to in love, when it comes to how to love, a little bit of everything. So I help single women, as I always say, unpack their love boxes. I help them understand what love is. I help them understand how to do it and rebuild their love languages in order to win at it, okay? I'm a certified life, dating, and relationship coach, but of course, I really focus on using like the life and dating, all those different certifications in order to help as a singles coach. And I'm also an online dating consultant with New Thing Life Coaching. You can learn more at newthinglifecoaching.com. New news. I don't really have anything new. Of course, TSI is ongoing. The Sassy Institute, that is my self-paced coaching program for those who, they work well by themselves or they don't want to coach or they don't have time. You kind of go through everything on your own. So a new course unlocks on the 1st every single month. And May's course is going to be titled A Walk to Remember. Like we started off 2021 with the Road to Healing. We did, finding contentment, all of those things. But before we can get to dating and attracting your good man, which is actually going to be an upcoming class in TSI, I want to help you with your selfie issues when it comes to your self-esteem, self-love, self-awareness, self-acceptance, your triggers, your habits, everything to ensure that you no longer self-sabotage when it comes to your love life. So when you go to the site and look at self-paced coaching, there's a button at the top of the website. Come on in. I'd love to have you in that community. Again, you get the course and I even send you out a product shipped to your house every single month, something branded, all right? So that is what's going on. A lot of you already were well aware of the fact that I had released the Become sometime earlier this month, and that course Become Pure and in mind, helping them become pure, and body, helping them become pure, like mind, body, spirit, soul, the whole nine. Like we were talking about sex and soul ties, 4 different, even tracks on deliverance, purification, remaining, like fully becoming, like all of these different things as it comes to sex and purity, right? Because we don't do things the way that the world does things, right? Like we're trying to honor God. We want to be serious when it comes to our walk and what it is that we are, protecting ourselves against even now. So in that course, it's just a whole lot of stuff, and we're finishing up right now. But after what I discussed in the chapter on remaining, of course, coupled with some questions that I have been asked, some things that I've seen posted and shared, etc. And, when is the perfect time to tell a man that you're interested in, that you're abstinent? I knew I wanted to chat on that. And even here on the YouTube channel where I'm streaming to, I did a 15-minute video like on this, maybe back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, like my coaching business has evolved and just I like sharing, more information. So I knew it was time to just add some more things and to really, really talk. So can we talk about dating while abstinent? Because I know that some of my sisters, like some of y'all are in the same boat where, again, y'all are, I hate to say practicing, but you've made abstinence and purity a lifestyle. And I want to divide this into 3 different kind of like topics, whatever, as far as like all still pointing back to dating while abstinent. But I want to talk about disclosures, stages, and boundaries. Disclosures, stages, and boundaries. Y'all know I talk a lot. Okay. I kind of talk fast, especially when I get excited. So if you're a note taker, I'm not trying to make myself sound important, but I like to really like digest things. So sometimes I like to take notes. That's why I have journals everywhere. So disclosures, datings, and boundaries. So part 1, let's talk about disclosures, because oftentimes, women are trying to figure out like, when is the appropriate time to tell a man that I am abstinent? Like, when should I go ahead and state that? Let's start off, since this is called dating while abstinent. We need to first look at what dating is at the end of the day. What is dating? Because, people say, oh, you got to date with the purpose as a Christian woman. We got to understand that dating is all about collecting data, all of these different things. And it goes back to the stages. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit, later. But when I say stages, it's strangers, there's committed relationship, and then there's marriage. That like those are the 5 stages for those of us who know that we want marriage to be the end goal. So dating is what? Dating is 2 people really just getting to know each other. They're looking to get to know each other better. They're going on dates. There's casual conversations, and it's very surface level conversations like early on. But of course, later, there's going to be progression, and it's going to be, more frequent conversations, more intimacy is going to be developed. Those of you, if you're in the Becoming course, we're even going to talk about intimacy as we, finish things off later this week, because I was even saying, like, I want to help you figure out how to determine sexual compatibility while still abstinent. Because a lot of people, that is their fear. Like, well, what if I end up getting married and like the sex is kind of like, what do I do? Like, how can we figure out like if we're on the same page now? So yes, there is a way to do that while still holding on to your morals and values. And we're going to be talking about that later on. So what you have to determine as well, what are you? And when I say what are you, I mean, are you a virgin? Are you abstinent? If you're abstinent, are you waiting until you're married before you have sex again? Sorry, my dog is barking. Are you waiting until you're in a committed relationship? Again, no judgment. Like, my job is like, yeah, like we all know, like, premarital sex is wrong. It's not my job to tell you, like, don't have sex or you're going to hell. Don't have sex or you're not going to get a husband. We already know sex. It is what it is. But some people are like, no, like, I'm waiting until I'm in a committed relationship. Okay, whatever. There are all of these different things. So like, what are you? What is your stance? And even with each of those, it comes a what, and then there also comes a why. Like, why are you waiting until why are you waiting until you're in a relationship? Why are you not having sex? Like, we have a reason for everything. And then of course there's boundaries when it comes to that. What are your boundaries with where you are? So again, what are you? And then with that, what is your why? And then what are your boundaries at that stage? And even tying into that, like, what are your intentions? Like me, I've shared my story before, of course, like I'm abstinent. I have been for, 4.5 years now. And yes, I know that premarital sex was wrong. I knew that it was a sin. It was something that God had been convicting me on for about 7 years before I finally decided to be obedient. And I knew that, of course, God is so loving. And even the way that he was speaking to me about it was letting me know, like, hey, you're praying for a husband, but then you've been having sex with men that are not your husband. So how is this going to work? Like, what your way is not working. And when I finally took the time and realized, I was like, yeah, like, and truth be told, I'm having sex to try to get love. I'm having sex to try to get a man. Like, and it's not working. So what is going to change? So I knew that I'm abstinent until married. Why? Yes, because again, I want to honor God with my body, but also because I knew that I was oftentimes using sex for love. And I didn't want to ever again try to use sex as a weapon to try to manipulate a man into staying, because the same things that we try to use as a weapon while single, we'll end up taking it into a marriage as well if we're not careful. So still under disclosures, knowing what you are, cool. Knowing what dating is, cool. What are you hoping to accomplish by telling men? Because even before it gets to like when you tell them, what are you hoping to accomplish by disclosing, hey, just so you know I'm abstinent, hey, just so you know I'm a virgin, just so you know I'm celibate, like even though we use, celibate and absent like interchangeably, but it's really two completely different things. What are you hoping to accomplish by disclosing that information to a man? And I say that because what I've realized is that oftentimes women want to put the disclaimer out there as to weed out certain men because they don't want to waste their time. So like, let me just go ahead and put it out there, put it out there because that way I'm going to see how he responds. And that'll let me know that man is not worth my time. And you come to me like as a dating coaching client and we are actually like doing online dating. Like, yeah, I audit my clients' profiles and I'm always like, nope, take that out. Like, we're not doing that. That is a big no. Like, there's no reason for you to go and put that. Like, and I know you think you're trying to whatever, but no, I was in the same boat. Initially, I always wanted to put that out there because I wanted to make sure that I was weeding them out. I was weeding out the ones who were not going to be willing to wait. I would always say I wanted them to know and go. I want them to know what I am and then go. Like, if you're going to leave, like, let's just make sure you go ahead and find out now where I stand when it comes to sex. So I'm not wasting your time. You're not wasting my time. Like, everything has always been about wasting time for me when it comes to dating. And that's a bad attitude to have. And I know that many of you are in the same boat. And the reason I say that's bad is because now, like, we look at everything, like, we're so pressed for time. Everything is about time. Like, I don't have time to waste. Like, no, you're not going to waste my time for a couple of weeks. You're not going to waste my time for a couple of months. We make everything about time. And it's like, and this is why a lot of people don't even want to put the time, even when it comes to dating and getting to know someone. It's like, immediately, what are we doing? Where's this going? Let me start praying to God. Online dating, I don't got time for that. Nope, I don't feel like, logging in. I need these, like, I'm not waiting on a response. Time. So again, I was like, nope, I want them to know and go because I don't have time to waste. But relationships take time. Dating takes time. Like, you can't go into something with the attitude and mindset of, I don't have time to waste. But like, how are you think it's just going to switch when you actually get married? Like, no, that's not how that goes. Let me tell you something about what men have to say when it comes to hearing that a woman is abstinent. What men actually feel about hearing that you are abstinent or that you're a virgin, and especially, if you're waiting until a committed relationship or even marriage. What some people would be shocked to know, because I was shocked when I even found this out. What scares them, what scares men isn't hearing that they're not going to be able to get any. Like, it's not the fact that like sex is off the table. What scares them is the emotion and the intent behind why it's being disclosed early on. Because it's not, for them, it's not one of those like, oh man, I'm not gonna be getting none. Like, dang, like I'm not even, like, I'm about to date shorty and I can't even, like, we're not even gonna be having sex. No, that is not what they're thinking at all. What they are hearing is, oh, she's already talking about settling down. Like, dang, like like this is first conversation and she's already talking about a committed relationship. Or like, man, like I'm still trying to like get to know her and she's already talking about what she's not doing until we get married. Because even if you say like until you get married, they still hear we. I mean, because again, like, you're trying to see where something is going with you and that person. So a man is not initially thinking about making you a wife from the first conversation or the first date, correct? Granted, he might know early on. And even knowing, I don't think we realize, like, even with a man knowing, that can still be terrifying for some men. Because it's like, sometimes it's like you want to meet, a great guy, and they want to meet a great woman. It's like you pray about it and you prepare for it and all these different things. And then when it's actually in your face, it's like, holy crap, this is it. This is the one. And now you're trying to make sure that you don't go into the same self-sabotaging things that you previously did, like all of these things. So a man can know, but it can still be terrifying for him. And also, and it's like going straight to, like, I'm not getting none until I make her a wife, or, she's ready to settle down. That already is going to give a man pause at the end of the day. Now, what you have to understand, that does not mean that a man is not serious. It does not mean that he's, not serious about finding someone the way that you are. It doesn't mean that he's not on the same page. And truth be told, we need to stop buying into the notion that men are afraid of commitment, because truth be told, a lot of men are not afraid of commitment. I know we like saying that. I know like we like spreading that and sharing that. Like we think that, oh, like men have commitment issues and like all these other different things. That's really not the case. Truth be told, a lot of men, their concern is not even so much committing. Their concern is, what happens if I commit to the wrong woman? Like, what happens if I end up like going off the market and taking her off the, like, it ends up like not working out? That's what a lot of their problems are. And let me tell you something else. When I did Getting It On, like a lot of y'all have been like rocking with me for some years now. And I remember when I first did the Getting It On, the dating experiment. Okay. And I spent, time with a lot of men. I was interviewing them and asking them all of these questions. I wanted to know like how they'd, how would you handle this? And what do you look for in a woman? And like, and did you know, like, cause I was interviewing like married, single, dating, divorced, all kind of different men. Like, how will you know if you never want to see a woman again? Like all of those different things. And, for me to put it all in that ebook, and then helping me when I was like, just kind of even starting out with seriously doing dating coaching. And one of the questions that I had asked them was how they would respond upon hearing that a woman is a virgin or abstinent. So I wanted to know, like, hey, say that you're dating a woman, and I didn't really go in, like, I had a list of preset questions for every single man. I didn't care what their relationship status was. The only requirement is that they were a man and they were Christian. That was it. So, and I made sure they all got asked the same question. And I asked, how would you respond if you found out that the woman was, either a virgin or abstinent? And that was one question. I want you to know that almost every single one of those men wanted to know, when does she disclose it? When does she actually tell me that she's abstinent or a virgin? And I was like, wow, well, that's interesting. Like when I was like, why does that matter? Like, dude, just answer the question. Like, who cares? But when I was like, okay, second guy is now, well, it depends. And the third guy's like, well, now, when are we talking? Like, is this like first phone conversation? Is this first date? Is this like 3 months in? They all said what mattered was when. And the general consensus for every single one of these men were that the first date was too early. The first phone conversation was too early. That was all. They were like, it depends. Like, because if she tells me that up front, we got a problem. But none of them said that finding out that a woman was sexless, and like, again, virgin or abstinent, they said that finding that out would not lead them to like no longer dating her. Like none of them said that. Not a one. So what we have to understand, y'all, there are good men out here. There are men who are not focused on sex like that. There are men who are waiting as well. But the problem is that hearing up front and like early is scarier for them than hearing it later. And I can understand why, truth be told. So when dating, does this need to come up? The fact that you're abstinent or a virgin? Let me just give a flat no and say, no, it doesn't. Now it can come up. It might come up. And let's be real, oftentimes it does. Like even for Christians, unfortunately, like we are in a sexualized society, like everything is about sex, like just so many different things. Oftentimes it is going to come up. What I will tell you is that for women who are abstinent, for women who are virgins, etc., like for those who are doing these because of their Christian values and because they're wanting to honor God, we're not even entertaining conversations that have to do with sex. Like, because if you're even like dealing with the man and that's something he's bringing up, like we're not entertaining that. So if it's something that is repeatedly brought up by a man, sure, I get it. A disclosure is nice. However you choose to do it, whether it's, hey, like I'd rather not discuss, or, I'm not comfortable with that, or just say, hey, actually, like I'm a virgin, or like, hey, like I'm abstinent. Because again, in cases like that, it's like if a man is like always bring it up, then like we already know where he stands. There's no need in, I'll tell him when the time is right. He's already showing what he wants. So that's when you can go ahead and put it out and let that be that. Yeah, you got to be careful. We know some men will try to prey on it, and they'll try, just try to get you to whatever. And some men, they kind of see it as a power thing, whatever. So you can find a way to do a disclosure in cases like that. However, However, let me also say this. This is more of a stage 3 disclosure. So again, stage 1, strangers. Stage 2, casually dating. Stage 3 is romantic friends. And I'm going to go deeper again with, maybe I should have did stages first, but hey, whatever. This is more of like maybe a stage 3 disclosure, because in stage 2, when you're casually dating, this is not the time to be interviewing and all that other stuff. Like, you're testing the fruits. You're seeing if they're patient. You're seeing if they're kind. You're trying to see if he's like respecting your boundaries that you have in place at that stage. You're testing his self-control, all of those things. So obviously, at this point, as you're like, if you're testing and doing things correctly that you should be doing while, dating while Christian, then you're paying attention, because it's like, if he's showing like some creep squad vibes and like sleaze mentality, then he's eliminating himself. He's eliminating himself at the end of the day. So that's what you need to keep in mind. So again, as far as like when, I always say when it's like romantic friends, where it's like, okay, well, we've been getting to know each other, and, and things are, starting to get a little bit whatever. And again, stage 3, romantic friends, like, I kind of like him, and, I want to see where this goes, blah, 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 blah. And maybe sex has come up. That is when, again, y'all are developing that emotional intimacy, and you can then disclose, hey, this is where I stand as far as sex is concerned. Before we go any further, I just wanted to let you know that. Because again, going back to those men, a lot of them were just like, hey, if I'm already feeling her, like we've been, dating and whatever else, hearing that is not going to bother me. And especially for those who are there knowing that they want to get married, they know that they want to settle down, or they're looking for a good woman or whatever else, that no. Like, I think we really do underestimate how some men feel. Now, what I've also noticed is that sometimes if we keep on attracting and encountering and entertaining and dating the same kind of men, if we're always saying like, no, men today don't wait. They always thinking about sex. I've never encountered a man who blip, blip, blip. I always say that's a you issue. At some point, it's like, okay, I'm the common denominator here. If every man that I meet is the same way, if every man I meet is expecting this, what am I doing? And it might sound like harsh and crazy, because again, some women are like, but it shouldn't, because I'm abstinent, or I don't dress this way, I don't do this. I had to at some point like do an evaluation, even after I became abstinent, even before and after I was abstinent. I was like, okay, like, yeah, if you attract, like, why? And I was realizing, like, even like as I was leading on, or coming up to, or leading up to me becoming abstinent, and even after becoming abstinent, I was like, yeah, Victoria, like, sometimes you still got some healing that you need to do. So I was still sometimes, well, I already know, I know how to get down in the bedroom. So if you try and know that, like, yes, that means you gotta, we gotta make this serious. So we're gonna have to get married sooner. If you thinking you get some of this, that, like, I was doing a lot of those things again, because I still didn't really know my worth and whatever, and I was still struggling with self-love at one point. So it was even then still me trying to use sex as a means to manipulate them into committing. So I still had a whole lot of stuff going on, and I was realizing, like, even what I was doing early on with men, even as strangers and casually dating, and it was a whole mess. So keep all of those things in mind. Moving into stages, let me really talk about this. And I'm sorry, I said maybe I should have started with this first. So I tell everyone, there are 5 stages in the natural progression of a relationship. And especially, when it comes to romantic relationships, let me say that 5 different stages. Stage number 1, as I already said, that's strangers. Like, you don't know him, like, all of that other good stuff. Like, you don't know who this person is. That's just that. I always say the Coach V analysis is treat him like someone you don't know, because you don't. That's just that. Like, stranger, like, you don't know this man, even if you're, working on getting to know him, and y'all are trying to, maybe even exchanging numbers. Maybe you've gone on one date, if even that, still a stranger at the end of the day. So there goes that. Stage number 2 is casually dating. I don't care if you've gone on 3 dates. I don't care if you go on a date every single week. It's still casual. Coach V analysis. Have fun while getting to know him. Because at this point, this is where a lot of women, oh God, I'm not even going to go into all of this, because I talked about a lot of this in my simplicity dating class. The struggle when it comes to that is, this is where some people kind of like assume, oh, we've been going on all these dates, so I'm going to just kind of like focus on him and see, I'm not going to date other people. And then they're assuming that he might not be dating other people and whatever else. Like, just because you're going on dates, It doesn't mean anything. Okay, it's still so casually dating. Coach V analysis, have fun while getting to know him. Yeah, you're screening and detecting and discerning and all of the good stuff. It's still casual. Stage 3, romantic friends. Romantic friends. And yes, that is a thing. Romantic friends means like, yeah, like we like each other, like romantic feelings have developed, and maybe y'all have hugged, maybe you have kissed, maybe there's been some type of physical intimacy shared. That romantically y'all are interested, but there is still no commitment. And who knows, you or him, like you might still be seeing other people even on a more casual level, but the person you're in stage 3 with might be the person who's in the running. Coach V analysis, that's when you're like twirling your hair and it's like, oh, so there's this guy, but he's still a friend. That ain't your man, sis. That's what you have to keep in mind. And that's, again, where a lot of people start to struggle. Stage 4 is committed relationship. Whether that's like, hey, we are exclusively dating, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, that's my man, that's my significant other, we're engaged, we're courting, whatever. Committed relationship. That's just what that means at the end of the day. Like, that's what stage 4, it's like Coach V analysis, you got him, now what? Okay, like that's your man. Okay, now like what's next? All these other good things. I even named like one of the chapters in my book, Debunking the Fairy Tale of Boaz. It's like, okay, you got him, now what? What's next? Because what should be next, especially again for those of us who are wanting marriage, stage number 5 is deep intimacy. And deep intimacy is that, again, for us, like that's marriage, or like, we've been in this for years. This is like a long term, like we're good to go, whatever. Again, Coach V analysis, we're in this love together. Okay. So even with those stages, here's what you have to understand. If you are a virgin or if you are abstinent, there has to be boundaries at every single one of those stages, especially when it comes to romantic interest, right? On a quest to become the woman that God desires for you to be. And you're saying like, hey, again, I'm honoring God, in this season, I want to do things right. You're being pure in mind, heart, body, soul. You have to have boundaries at every single one of those stages. Because if not, you're going to find yourself in a place of, again, whether it's temptation, whether it's, finding yourself getting caught up. I can't tell you how many times I've had women come to me like crying, wanting prayer or whatever else. It's like, sis, I was doing so good. Like I was abstinent for 6 months. I was abstinent for a year. I was doing good for several years. And then it's like, I met this man and whatever. I'm like, okay, well, as long, like, first, let's go ahead and get this straight. Like, you're forgiven. Okay. Extend yourself some grace. Like, repent, let that be that. God's not even beating you up the way that you're beating yourself up. Now, once we get that out the way, how did it happen? Because if you're really feeling this bad and you don't want it to happen again, how did it even happen? Like, this is where boundaries come in to play. Like, we have to have boundaries to avoid certain things. If you're already saying like, this is where I stand on sex, but it's like, I want to date, I want to meet a man, I want to be in a relationship, I want to get married. What are your boundaries in the meantime? So part 3, and then I'm done. Boundaries. What are boundaries? They are basic guidelines